chat. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for the moment is leading the streaming way, the new wave of stardom. This wonderful session is all set to be chaired by Mr. Siddhant Mazumdar, Head Mediabrands, Content Studio India. And he'll be joined on stage by a wonderful actor, my dear friend, Barkha Singh. Can we please, ladies and gentlemen, clap loudly for these two? Thank you so much. May I please have Siddhant Mazumdar and Barkha Singh on stage? Do we have Siddhant Mazumdar sir over here as well? Oh yeah, hi sir. Hi sir, please take your seats. Yeah. Rocking the shirt, sir. I want to get some fashion cues from your end. Hello. So always. Come on, take your seats. Please feel comfortable. The stage is all yours, sir.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our Fireside chat. I am Siddhant, like he introduced. My name is Siddhant. I head Mediabrands Content Studio, and with me I have the supremely talented Barkha. For those who probably don't know her, which is probably like 1% of this entire audience, Barkha is she's one of the first breakout, stars on the internet, right? Long before OTT came along, she was someone who was already killing it with amazing content. And since OTT came along, she made the jump to OTT very, very seamlessly. She starred in many shows, Mumbai Meri Jaan, Breathe, just to name a few. It's a long list. When I saw her IMDb profile, I was very, very impressed. And I think one of the best things about her, which I really like, is that she's extremely versatile, right? And she's done lots of different types of roles. She's also perhaps known to pick her roles very well. And she's also done some very, very nice brand collabs. And there's a lot for us to unpack here today. I have a long list of questions. I hope to get through at least half of them. No, don't worry. My handwriting is really bad.
I'll keep it short.
Sure. So, Barkha, let's get straight into it. I have my first question to you. Sorry? Yeah. So, I think in 2023, you'll notice that perhaps the road to stardom, right, is very, very open, right? Like you have talent coming in from different parts of the country, be it on short-form social media or be it on long-form OTT, right? And I think that talent is making that jump seamlessly from both platforms, in each direction, right? But many times when we see talent like yourself, when you do really well, we seldom see, what has happened and what, helped you get there, right? And I think in our audience today, we have a lot of young people, right? So I thought, my first question should be, ever since you started, right, what was your journey like? Because when I did my research, right, I also found out that, you've been to Berkeley, right? And you've also had a tryst with Google. And you made that jump from, my side of the fence, which is very corporate and boring, and you went on to the entertainment side. So what was your journey like?
Thanks for the question. Firstly, hi everyone, good evening. We're going to make this as fun and as short and crisp as possible for you. So please grab your coffees and let's have a great chat. To answer your question, Siddharth, about the journey, honestly, you said it all. Google happened as through campus placements, because in general I was always very academically inclined, but I also had this acting keeda in me, so I was always trying to be part of school dramatics and inter-school and intra-school and everything. But my parents were very padhai khatam karo, study, put your head down and study, no need to do all these things and all of that. So I think till I graduated, it was always just a hobby. And after I graduated, obviously, it was a decision to kind of take acting full-time professionally, which did come as a little bit of a shock to my parents, yes, but more than that, to my teachers. Because as I said, and now I'm not trying to show off here or anything, but just to put things in perspective, I had topped Maharashtra in my board exams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was on the merit list, SSC board mein, and yeah. So my teachers all wanted me to she's going to be like academic, or she's going to do this and she's going to do that. And Barkha was like, I want to take BMM. I want to study advertising. And I want to become an actor. So I think that's where it started. But luckily, my family has been very chill, very cool about it. Lots of support has come in from there. But very funnily, when I started off, I got like a campus placement. And I got a TV show, which was your regular GEC Saas Bahu shows, straight out of college. So I obviously took this. I was like, एक बार job मिल गई, maybe दूसरी बार मिल जाएगी. Let's try television. But from there, then I shifted to youth like a youth space, I did this show called MTV Girls on Top, which became quite famous. Then from there, I shifted to the whole YouTube space. Then from there, I shifted to the whole OTT space and films. And last year, I was blessed to have 5 releases. Very excited what this year has in store. So, in short, that's been my journey so far till now.
I mean, that's very incredible, because for people like us who are on the other side, right, it takes a lot for us to even think that, we could do this, right? And
Oh, it took a lot from me also to think if I should do this professionally or no.
and that's exactly my second question, right? Because I think when you made that jump many years ago, right, it was still very unconventional and brave to do that, right? And, like you mentioned, you had the support of your family, but I'm sure there were points where, you might have questioned yourself, like, right? Like, you've come out of BMM and suddenly you're on a TV show. How did you manage to wade through those waters?
I think like any other industry, when you are getting in there without anyone in your family in the scene, without anyone, like to kind of guide you through it, it literally feels like you've taken a deep dive into a big ocean. So yes, it was very intimidating because I think I didn't know what to do, what approach to go, whether I want to do television, whether I want to do this. I didn't know anything, so obviously it was intimidating. Also, you're putting yourself out there, ki bhai sab judge kar lo mujhe. This is what I'm doing. I'm putting myself out there. And that time, I think even social media really wasn't a thing. Orkut tha pehle jo band ho gaya tha, if everyone remembers Orkut. After that, I think Facebook was the new big thing, but Facebook was just like to kind of add your crush as a send a friend request to your
People or just randomly poke people.
So, yeah, I think to answer your question, thoda intimidating tha. But because I really enjoyed acting and somewhere deep down, I felt that I'm decent at it. I can do something with it. So I was like, chalo yaar, it's worth the risk. Let's give it a few years and see where it goes. And then I think, yeah, then one thing kind of led to another. But yeah, it was very intimidating, yeah. But I think that's in any job, I think. I mean, you guys would also be able to, I think all of you look like your corporates. Yes? Are you from Ad Gully? No, okay.
I saw a lot of confused faces when you said Orkut. They're like, ye kya? I've never
No,
heard of it."
everyone was nodding for Orkut.
Raise your hands for those who've been on Orkut. See, that's exactly like
The
5%,
enough people,
right?
see there, all the backbenchers.
Also, one of the things I also want to focus now that I have you here, right, is that I think you've always enjoyed a fantastic following on social media, right? And we've been, as people on the other side who are in the ad world, right, we obviously track, who's doing well, what kind of content works. And since now that you are also a breakaway, an OTT personality, right? How do the two worlds work, right? Do you see a lot of action every time on social media, right? When one of your releases goes live, right? And how are you working that to, suit your, promotions? And what is your secret ingredient? Because amongst all of the people that we work with, right, you're probably right up there, right? And
Wow,
clearly,
thanks.
I mean, it's not a joke or anything. It really is true. In fact, I don't think you'll remember, but I've actually worked with you once in 2020 during the first few months of COVID. You were part of one of my projects called Dark Fantasy, where we had this one film that we had done called A Lot Can Happen Inside.
Yes.
Yes. So, just for the audience, this was a film that we shot in the first month of the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, it was in the lockdown, in the middle of a lockdown, these guys pulled off a whole campaign. Who else was there? Ali was there.
Ali Fazal was there, and I mean, 3-4 names, but
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we remember Barkha from that. And it was quite interesting because I think we shot the entire thing on Zoom. Our presentation happened on Zoom, PPM on Zoom, shoot on Zoom, everything on Zoom, and it was...
Just didn't get paid on Zoom.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons our campaign did very well is because of the energy she brought, right? And we could see in our comments that, we picked up people really, really well. And when preparing for this, I was thinking, that should be my question to you, saying, what do you do that makes your fans relate with you so much and engage with you so strongly?
I don't know. I think having a strong community is a blessing. Obviously, Rome wasn't built in a day. This kind of happened over time. I think also, I wouldn't know what the secret ingredient is, but what I have always very consciously done is not put up a pretense. Like when times are tough professionally or personally, not so much personally, but professionally, I don't try to make it seem ki, oh, I'm a high flyer or whatever. So I think just being real with your audience makes them feel more connected to you because it humanizes you. You're not like, oh, this person who only puts up the good aspects of her life. I think just being approachable is what I feel really works. And to answer the second part of your question, what happens during releases? Great things happen during releases because, again, as I said, this community does not only encourage me, but they also kind of go gang-ho about like the my co-actors and the project overall, you know. So it really gets a big, big boost. I'll give you some examples. Like when Majama had released, Boom Party was one of the songs. My song was A Pugly. And, you know, the fan pages and just people who are following me, they made a lot of reels. They made a hashtag of its own, you know. They would make reels. They would remix my reels. And they'd be like, please, ye bhi share karo, ye bhi share karo. So I think, like, the point of saying all this is that everyone's been very, very encouraging always. And that has obviously, you know, boosted my confidence, but it has also boosted the reach of the projects I've been fortunate enough to be part of. And that, I think, is a very, very big plus point when it comes to me as an actor. Because I think then that, see, at the end of the day, you are what you bring to the table. And if I am able to bring this love and support, I consider myself very lucky to be able to bring this love and support to the table. But then again, that goes both ways. You know, like it's very important to also always be engaged with your community and not just when a release is happening. Like, you know, it goes both ways. You need, like when you're saying you're building a community, it can't be transactional. It can't be me being like, okay, you're following me, so you are going to look at all my branded content only, and you are going to help me only during my promotions. That's not how it works. I also have to be engaged with my audiences when I'm in between releases. When there is no branded content, you know, go live, talk to them, see what they want, see what the kind of content they want. So I think, yeah, it goes hand in hand.
And has there ever been a time when perhaps the way your community has reacted, right, and to the content that you're putting out, that has informed the decisions you're making in the choices, right? Let's say the genres that you would like to tackle. Does your community ever inform, basis, you know, what they're saying, okay, Barkha should do more of this, or Barkha should do less of that? Does that play a role in what you know, how you plan your professional life?
No, because, I mean, I'm being real, I'm being honest. I also, as an actor, have, all of us have a goal, have an aim. And the kind of projects you picked are obviously a carefully curated list of, you know, a body of work. So while, yes, the audience do kind of encourage certain things more than something else. But I think it's always very important to keep trying and keep experimenting, because even for the fans and audience, till the time they don't see it, it's very hard to imagine you in certain things. Like, I'll give you an example without giving too many details. My next release is something very different from what my fans have always seen me in. This is
so excited already.
Yeah,
Can you tell us more about it?
Very little more, otherwise I'll get into trouble. But it's very de-glammed, it's very grunge, it's very dark. That is something no one's ever seen me in. They've always seen Barkha like, ah, hey, lovelies, yay, love, unicorns, rainbow. So I think that's going to be a good shift. And in fact, going back to the previous question, I have a very funny story and an anecdote. As I said, I had a bunch of releases last year, and for some reason, in all the films and shows, मैं दुल्हन थी. Okay, I was a bride, or I was a bride to be, or yeah, I'm going to be a bride, or I had to be dressed up. Whether it was Masaba, I was a bride. Great Weddings of Munnes, I was a dulhan. Majama, I'm a to-be bride. So what everyone started doing, and a lot of publications also picked on this, is नहीं बारका आप ऐसी ब्राइड बेटर लगते हो, तो जब आप शादी करोगे, be this bride, wear pastels, don't wear red. So maybe that is something I'll take into account. But you know, in general, I think they're always very encouraging. And in fact, there was another show I did that's called Please Find Attached, that has 3 seasons behind it. So the 3rd season, actually, this is very interesting because it was the audience. The first season, was just a 3-episode experiment. Ki chalo karte hain, let's see what happens and where it goes. And then the second and the third season happened because of the audiences. Because they kind of like gave so much love. They wrote to Dice Media. And then the third one was on Amazon Mini, the third season. So they wrote to platforms saying that no. And now they're also writing to people saying that season 4 lana padega.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I think in that way, they have a huge say.
I mean, that would probably be like every actor's dream to enjoy this kind of love, right? But I want to take a slight turn here, right? Because you're clearly someone who enjoys a lot of love. Has there ever been a moment when you've got the exact opposite? Maybe because of the roles, right? Can you share some examples, right? Because I'd love to understand like what goes through your mind, because you may have put out, what you must have felt that, okay, this was a good role or something that was really, that the world needs to see. And maybe for reasons that one cannot predict, it may have gone south on social media. Right. So has there ever been such an occasion, and how did you deal with it, and how does that affect an actor?
I think what's important here, Siddhant, is in your head to have a clear demarcation between constructive criticism and, well, the contrary of constructive criticism, because actually sometimes when you receive criticism, that is important for one's growth. You don't want a bunch of yes men just saying that, oh, this was great, oh, this was great. So I think, yeah, like even they are great critics, and I do take their constructive criticism rather seriously, whether it is acting, whether it is even the content I put out. So yeah, I think just being able to differentiate between the two really goes a long way. Apart from that, I think just not being attached to anything, whether it is good feedback or bad feedback. Now don't get me wrong, when I'm saying not being attached, doesn't mean that you don't listen to it or you don't pay heed to it. You pay heed to it, but don't let that be the be-all and end-all, whether that is positive or whether that is negative. Because at the end of the day, you need to understand that you can't really please everyone. You cannot please everyone. No matter what you do, someone is going to hate it, someone is going to love it, and that is the nature of our profession. And I think just knowing that you're not going to be able to please everyone, but at the end of the day, even if I've received like not very good feedback about something, if I know that I gave it my everything, I put my heart in it, I think I can sleep peacefully at the end of the day, knowing that, okay, fine, this didn't work. Maybe I'll do something else. I'll try harder. Or maybe, okay, this is what didn't work in it. I'll try working on this in the next project, and maybe that will be better. So I think, yeah, these are certain things that do kind of help you. And another very important thing on social media is that even critics, like earlier you would wait for a newspaper, like not me obviously, but like the film stars and everyone would wait for like newspaper articles to know how their film or show performed. Ab to 1 ghante mein pata chal jata hai. Instantly, like literally when you wake up in the morning, when if a show or a film is released at night, you know everything. You know whether you're trashed, you know whether you're applauded, you know what everything happens. So I think that's another good aspect of the world we are living in today in social media, कि सब कुछ बहुत जल्दी पता चल जाता है. So you are prepared, and like even for Majama for that matter, a lot of people they had given reviews, but they also personally reached out to me on Instagram, DM'd me to be like, hey, this was great, or if someone's given a slightly difficult review, they're like, you know what, don't take this personally. You were great, but there's always room for improvement. So I think, yeah, just having a social media presence apart from the fans, even within industry, really helps.
I think you make a fantastic point, which is perhaps your audience is never going to know what they would love to see themselves, right? And it's up to you to experiment and show them that. And many times one could go wrong, but when you go right, you're going to make such a big impact. I think that's a great lesson for a lot of the young people in the audience. If you're ever following in her footsteps, this is something that I think you should definitely bookmark, because you may not get time with her for some time, maybe, I don't know, right? So I want to move on to a very interesting part of my talk with you, right? Which is actually very close to my profession, because I'm from advertising, right? And we work with a lot of talent day in, day out for a whole variety of different things. And one of the things I've noticed is that today, perhaps, talent has become so professional and organized, right? They know exactly what is the brand they want to create for themselves, right? And then there are those like her, who've taken it one step forward, who's making a brand not just with the content they create, but also with the brands that they choose to work with, right? And clearly you know this better than most other people, right? So let's spend some time understanding what is your vision behind brand Barkha, right? And how did you go about setting it? Because within our industry, right, everyone is very clear that, if you want great traction, work with her, right? But clearly there's been a lot of, careful, meticulous planning that has brought you to this point. So for everyone over here, can you shed some light on that?
I think it's very important before building your own brand, it's very important to study the environment you are stepping into. And this is where all the marketing from Xavier's and Berkeley came into play. Just to understand the industry you're getting into. And secondly, if you're talking about a personal brand, that's again very important to build a personal brand, as you said, for no other reason but just to have credibility as a public figure. Now that credibility goes across platforms, across genres, whether it is, again, brand work, whether it is doing endorsements, whether it is picking projects, whether it is showing up for events, what events, it's all a very carefully picked list of things that you do. Another thing I would really like to point out that it is teamwork beyond a certain point. Obviously, when I was starting off, it was certain conscious decisions I wanted to take. But after a point, it is teamwork. And to answer your question about what are the main principles that I kind of follow to build a personal brand, I always strive to achieve, there's a very sweet spot between being aspirational and being approachable.
Amazing.
You want to be aspirational to a certain extent so that, which is why people follow you, right? They have something to either learn from you, to take back from you, to hate you for, but whatever. So you need to be a little aspirational, but you also need to be approachable because that's when people will be able to relate to you. So yeah, approachability, relatability, and being organic. These are the three very, very important ethos for building my own brand. And I think that's what also speaks to a lot of people. And very quickly, another thing I really want to get in here is, since we're talking about brand partnerships, this is where long-term brand partnerships really come into play. Again, circling back to the point of credibility, because you don't want to be the person who's promoting brand, like phone brand A today, and then next month I'm promoting phone brand B, and next month I'm promoting phone brand C, and then people are like, "Ab kya kar rahe ho?" So it's very important in that way then to also not only pick certain brands that you want to and not want to work with, but also strive to have long-term commitments with those brands to focus more on endorsement deals, because that also gives you credibility and help people believe you when you are endorsing something.
Can you give us a couple of examples of, one of these endorsement deals or brand relationships that you're very proud of? Something that, and I mean, I don't want to talk about the future because I'm sure you're probably not allowed to talk about it. But let's just focus on, let's say, maybe the last couple of years.
So very recently, I had done this thing with Clinique, which is a brand I also have used. And we did a long-term 360-degree campaign with them. So that is something that, and in fact, many brands, it's unfair to only mention Clinique. A lot of brands which I do, there's always a recurring partnership that always happens, and this is something that earlier me individually used to focus on, and now the team that manages me really focuses on. So we're always striving towards longer term brand partnerships as opposed to just one individual campaign, like ek reel bana do, or ek ad kar lo.
Awesome. Let's take another turn, right? I think one of the things OTT platforms have managed to do really well is kind of defeat the boundaries that exist, right? Like today, you'll find Indian talent become very popular outside of India as well because, the geography has just completely gone for a toss, right? It's become a lot more accessible. Global talent has become more accessible for the regular Indian, for the regular Argentinian, wherever they are, right? And as an actor, I'm sure you have some views on that, right? Like, what are the things you would like to see more of so that more of this can be facilitated and more talent like yourself can make an impact on distant shores?
Firstly, I think it's great that India is getting so much recognition internationally. I mean, when Elephant Whisperers won that award, how many of us took it as a personal win, right? Like we were just like, yeah, yeah, hum jeete hain, you know. So I think even when RRR won the awards it all felt like a personal win. And if we see what was a common theme about all these things, they tapped they tapped into Indian culture and the different nuances of Indian culture, which went beyond what has already been explored. So, like, it was so simple. Like, say, I'll take, for example, Elephant Whisperer. It was a slice of life of this husband and wife, and they are going about their own life in their own place where they live. But just imagine making a documentary on it, which touched the heart of so many people. So this is something that I would love to see more of. As an actor, as a consumer, like just seeing more of Indianness globally, because that is what also gets international audiences intrigued and interested, because if you're putting what's already out there, great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but this is my personal view that it's even better if we are successfully able to put certain nuances of our own Indian culture out there. I think that's a great way of representation. Say, even Gully Boy, for that matter, it really put the whole rap scene and the hip-hop scene of Bombay, of India out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of us must be already knowing of it before, but not like the people know it now.
Yeah.
So, like that, again, was a very little nuance that was picked up. So I'd love to see more of these things. And
So-
obviously, I'd love to see a lot more Indian actors in international projects, me included.
Would it be right to say that what you're saying, I'm just paraphrasing, is that originality in the way we represent India kind of bridges that gap so that someone who's sitting in, let's say, Korea might actually relate with, let's say, a Kannada film like Kantara, which is,
Yes.
story. So, okay, that's awesome. I think that's a fantastic point, because I've been wondering myself, right? Because now we have so many languages on so many different OTT platforms. What is it that makes people choose this over the other, right? And the point that you make is fantastic. There's a big lesson in it, for all of us.
Yeah, because I think also there's so much more to India than, that we have seen internationally that has been depicted in a lot of international films, shows over the decade. And I think when India itself is putting itself out there, we should give a lot more realistic representation of ourselves, whether that's good, bad, ugly, all of it. And it'll be great to watch that. And I know, take for example, even if we are watching, say, Egyptian cinema, or, you don't want to see a regular thing, you want to see what is Egypt about it. So same way, I think that also applies to Indian content.
So I think we're coming to the end of our fireside chat. I have one more question for you, and then I'd like to throw it open to the audience in case anyone has questions for the awesome talent right here. You've been in this industry for some time now. You were a runaway hit on online content before, like I was saying before OTT, and now you are doing so well on OTT. What is your take on, long-term career sustainability, right? Like as an actor, clearly you're someone who's evolving with the times. How do you see yourself in the next 10, 15 years, and where do you want to go as an actor? Because there are a lot of young people, again, and I'm sure this is a lesson for all of us, right? Because we are in the middle of an evolving industry, and we'd love to hear from you as to how you want to shape your own path in the next few years.
I think you kind of answered yourself.
Sorry.
Which is great, because I think change is the only constant, and what's important for a sustainable career is to adapt to that change, recognize that change, educate yourself, and adapt to that change. I think that is very, very important. Apart from that, I think a very underrated aspect, and this goes beyond industries, like across industries, not just acting, or it can, I think, even go in the corporate field or creative field and everything. I think your discipline and decorum is very, 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 very important in having a sustainable career. Again, take for example, and I mean going back to adapting to changes, when I shifted from television, moved to the youth space, at that time there was no OTT, there was nothing, there was, even YouTube really wasn't a space where web series used to come out. But I saw a few, 1, 2 I saw, and I, at that time, really related to it. I was like, you know what, this is something that I would like to watch, and this is something I spend time watching, even if it's when I'm waiting for dinner or something. So I think I realized that a lot more people like me would also like to watch something like this. So I changed, and I'm so happy I followed my gut then, because boom, within a few months, there was Netflix and there was Amazon Prime and a lot of these OTT, there was an OTT boom. So the reason, again, I'm bringing this up is because it's very important to constantly adapt and with different consumption patterns as well. Because earlier, cinema meant only theaters. But now, even the biggest of stars, whether it's a Kajol, whether it's a Kareena, whether all stars, they're all having exclusive OTT releases. So I think even they are adapting, and that is why they are also, making comebacks. Or even MD ma'am, Madhuri Dixit, my favorite for that matter. She's also doing a film that was Majama, which was a Prime original. So I think just keeping up with the changing patterns, having a great discipline towards it, and just putting your head down and working hard, I think, is all you need. Not being too attached ki, oh no, my goal is to be successful. Your goal should be to do good work, to make an impact. And again, this is my personal view. And I think that is going to take you somewhere, take you as far as you can go. And to answer the last part of your question, where I see myself in the next 10, 15 years, I don't know, man, because I don't know what the industry is going to be like. I don't know what new platforms are going to come. But I do see myself acting. I do see myself being recognized by more and more people. I do see myself as impacting a lot more lives. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barkha. I think,
Thank you.
You've managed to pack so many ideas and thoughts and wisdom in 20 minutes. I'm at the end of my sheet. I thought I'd never get to the end, right? But thank you so much for doing that. I'd
Thank
love
you.
to throw it open to the audience. Guys, please,
I hope you guys didn't get bored.
if you have any questions for the awesome Barkha, please have a go. She's right here. Anyone?
Ladies and gentlemen, any question for Barkha? Any question for Mr. Siddhant? आप लोग पूछ सकते हो. This is indeed a golden opportunity. You don't get these opportunities daily.
I think we spoke so much.
Kind of preempted everyone's question.
So I believe they're waiting for the next topic and the next event, where place you all are together, and then they'll have all sorts of questions for you all. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please clap for this wonderful session? Kya baat hai? Let's give it up for Mr. Siddhant and Barkha. Fantastic session, full of knowledge, and congratulations, Barkha. We'll have a nice photo opportunity as well, both of them, please. Dada.
Thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Barkha Singh, a fantastic actress, my dear friend. And in the next 10 years, she was asked where she is. She's going to be one of the biggest stars in the country. I can manifest that in the best way possible. Let's give it up for Barkha Singh, ladies and gentlemen. Kya baat hai? Can't help it, this is a personal bias. We can't do anything. But thank you so much. Yeah, you please keep it here and please feel free.